My name's Pete Woods, you're watching Hexham TV. Who are you?
I'm Penny Grennan and I'm one of 3 women candidates who are standing in the Hexham constituency to be selected as a parliamentary candidate. If I am selected in the next general election, I will be fighting against Guy Opperman.
So Penny, you're one of 3 potential Labour candidates on the selection list to become the Labour candidate for Hexham constituency. Why should people vote for you to become the Labour candidate?
Well, I would like people to vote for me because I am the only local candidate on the list. I've lived here for 25 years. I've been an activist in and around Hexham and in the North East in lots and lots of different areas, and I'm incredibly well known. But actually activism, whether it's being a trustee for an organisation or whether it's running Hexham campus or whether it's working with the homeless, and I've done all of these things, or as an artist and a musician, is all about improving the quality of people's lives. And I am totally committed, and have been for 25 years and longer, to actually making the quality of people's lives better. And I think that standing as an MP or a candidate to become an MP is actually a way of focusing how national policies impact on local people's lives.
So what sort of national policies do you think are having a big impact upon people's lives locally in the Hexham constituency?
Well, I mean, austerity, I think, is the main one, and austerity manifests itself in all sorts of different ways. Austerity is a choice that the Tories have taken, and so what it means is that we have 2,400 people going to the food bank in the last year. We have people who are suffering benefit cuts. We have women over the age of 60 who have their pensions delayed. I'm one of those. I'm called a WASPy woman, and I've lost £47,000 in state benefit and had to go back to work. There are people who are suffering from pension benefit cuts. There's a scandal about disability allowances and how people aren't being paid and suffering terrible consequences. And we have in our area people who are going hungry, people who cannot access a doctor, people who can't afford to go anywhere because rural transport is either non-existent or incredibly expensive. And this is all as a result of national Tory policies.
So what would you do if you were elected or selected as the local Labour Party candidate? What would you do to try and change that?
Well, I think that one of the advantages of being a named candidate is that you you can use your voice in a way that you can't if you're just an ordinary Labour Party member. So I would use it, first of all, to explain and publicise what is actually happening in our constituency, and use whatever methods I could in order to help people who are in those sorts of difficulties. But basically we've got to have a general election, and you need to have a candidate in order to fight that election. And our MP is responsible for saying that women over the 60 should go out and get themselves apprenticeships. He's responsible for the pensions cuts in pension benefit. And we've got to call him to account, really, and I think you need a named candidate in order to do that. And I will carry on campaigning. I've campaigned on education, on transport, on food poverty, climate change. We've all got to work together to do something about climate change, and so I will continue to do that as well.
And what about issues like market towns and regenerating the high street and that sort of things that really impact upon local people in a rural constituency? What sort of things would you be proposing in those areas?
Right, well, the decline of the high streets is a real problem throughout the nation, but it's particularly bad, I think, in Prada and in Hexham, and it needs really looking at, because this is the lifeblood of our town. There are lots and lots of empty flats above shops, and I think that the council have actually got to make a move on getting those occupied. I think we've got to look at the level of business rates and who owns our properties in our market towns, because there's a deadlock because a lot of the buildings are owned by people who are absent landlords. And we've actually got to start putting pressure on revitalising the infrastructure that we've got, rather than just building lots and lots of houses that aren't served by public transport. The schools aren't big enough. That's not the solution. And we've got to work with businesses, small and large, to see what it is that they need and start asking for it.
And how important is it that Hexham has a local person as their candidate for Labour? With lots of constituencies, often it's people from outside who come in and become the local parliamentary candidate. Some of them work very effectively. But why do you think a local person will be better?
I think a local person would be better, and they've got to be a local person who's got good credentials, obviously. But first of all, I'm completely identifiable, and it probably takes me about an hour to buy a pint of milk, because people talk about what's happening in the constituency to me. I'm hugely well known, and you need that personal contact, because actually since 1997, when this was a marginal seat and there were only 222 votes in it, we have not had a truly local candidate, and now the margin between the Tories and the Labour Party is quite large. And I think that one of the contributing factors is this is seen as a career opportunity. Well, you don't want a careerist representing you. You want somebody in your constituency who understands the issues in rural areas and in the towns and in the villages, and who has some sort of experience of living here, because then they will act in your best interests, because it's their best interest too. So I think it's really, really important, particularly at this time. People were very upset about somebody being parachuted in at the last election, and it didn't do us any favours at all, I must say. And I'm completely committed to living and working in this area.
And you mentioned the issue of the WASPy women, and you spoke recently at a Labour Party women's conference about this issue. What did you have to say?
Well, there was a motion brought before the conference which was about recompensing people like me who have lost up to £50,000 worth of state pension, even though they've paid their national insurance contributions and worked all their lives. And it was done in an incredibly precipitous way. So the legislation was changed. First, we were given 10 years to make arrangements for this drop in pension, and then it was accelerated to a year. So there's lots of women who are suffering real hardship as a result of that. But it's not just women. And I wanted to make the point that actually it was an easy hit. The government saved £30 billion by cutting our pension entitlement. And it's impacted on, husbands, spouses, partners, families, and it's very difficult for women over the age of 60 to get work. So it's a sort of hidden issue, and because we're part of families and everybody will just be managing. But actually it is a national scandal, and the Labour Party has undertaken to recompense us in some way or other, should they be returned to power. Obviously the pension age is going to stay the same. So, but I did address our MP directly in that speech, because our MP told us that we should all go out and get apprenticeships. Well, I have got a PhD. I'm not entitled to an apprenticeship. Lots of people wrote to him about this, myself included. He's never ever replied. One person I know went to get an apprenticeship, was turned down because she was too well educated. So it's a sort of spurious and smug thing to say, but I haven't had a reply from him.
And what would you say to Labour Party members locally? Because essentially it's the Labour Party members locally who will be selecting the local Labour Party candidate for Hexham constituency. What would you like to say to Labour Party members about your potential selection?
Well, I would ask Labour Party members to participate in the process, whether they're voting for me or not. There's a hustings on the 28th of March, which is a Thursday. It's at the Hexham Mart. It's at 6:30. You have to bring identification and also your membership card with you, and it's the hustings, so you can hear us all speak and then you can cast your vote. And it's really important, I think, that the Labour Party is seen here to be behind the parliamentary candidate, and that, well, obviously I would like everybody to choose me, but it's participatory democracy and it's the first step towards making this a Labour constituency.
And if people want to find out more about you and your campaign, Penny, where should they go?
I've got a Facebook page, which is Vote Penny Grennan, and the web page, which will be Vote for Penny, is coming online later today, I hope. So just search on Google for Penny Grennan, Vote Penny Grennan, and hopefully you'll get some more information.
And I should say that Hexhamtv extends an invitation to the other two female potential Labour Party candidates for Hexham constituency to appear on Hexhamtv and to put their cases should they wish to, and that I have already contacted Guy Opperman's office regarding the video of your speech at the Labour Party Women's Conference to see whether he wanted to reply. I've not heard anything to date, any response. But if Guy Opperman wants to come on Hexhamtv and make a reply, then equally that opportunity is available.
Thank you.
Penny Grennan, thanks very much for talking to Hexhamtv.
Conference. I'm Penny Grennan from Hexham CLP. I'm delighted to be able to propose this motion because pensions, or the lack of them, are very close to my heart. I am 63 years old and a WASPy. Despite having paid our national insurance contributions in full, I have lost a £47,000 because of the 6.5-year delay in paying my state pension. I had to go back to work. I am on a 0 hours contract and I am paid £60 a day. Women are more likely to have small pensions because of pay differentials, part-time employment and childcare, and I absolutely conform to this model. My occupational pension is not enough for me to live on. However, some women do not have work pensions and are now reduced to signing on, working in low-paid work or living off their partners. I am also delighted to be proposing this motion because the man who said that WASPy women should go out and get apprenticeships is my MP. I wrote to him immediately for retraining, despite having a PhD, and I had no reply. Guy Opperman, if you are listening, 3.8 million women cannot be plumbers. And what have you spent nearly £30 billion of savings on? The NHS? Education? I think not. Also, once again, women are being forced to be dependent on their mainly male partners. Welcome to the 1950s. Pension age parity may be an aspiration that some share, but the manner in which it has been carried out is a disgrace. 1 year to make pension provision, and I am still waiting for my letter notifying me of these changes. But this is not just about me. Sisters, there are women in this room who are suffering deprivations on a daily basis because they cannot afford to live. They have sold their homes and live difficult, impoverished lives. The Tories saw this as an easy hit. Older women with no voice. Well, let's exercise our voices. Join a WASPy campaign or start your own in your CLPs. This cuts across political allegiances. This is a human rights issue, and we call on the next Labour government to revisit this and to end the suffering of women who have played their part in society and have been unfairly punished for being born in the 1950s. I move.